Of clinical trials, and I'm actually going to discuss a little bit about this is from an old handbook on clinical trials. It's sort of the Bible of early methodology. In fact, it's a book called the Bible. And from Daniel chapter 1, so this is from about 700 BC. So Daniel is a young guy. Jerusalem has just been sacked by the Babylonians, and he gets kidnapped, and he's brought back under King Nebuchadnezzar back to Babylonia, and he and his buddies are being trained to join the Babylonian army. And like a good TV evangelist, I'm only going to partially read from the Bible here. So the deal is that they're being trained, and they have to eat the food that King Nebuchadnezzar, like the Babylonian army, has to eat, and that's largely meat that has been used for sacrifice, bird sacrifices to the Babylonian gods. And so Daniel, being Hebrew, is very offended about the idea of having to eat that. And so the Jews, they want to eat something. It's a great name. It's called pulse, which sort of sounds like it's either like a boost or an energy drink or something like that. But actually, the non-proprietary name for boost or for pulse is basically just a soup of vegetables and lentils. And he thinks that his folks are going to do just as well on this vegetable diet rather than all this meat, which is probably lots of saturated fats, and it's burnt, so there's probably potential carcinogens in there as well. So he does not want to, quote, defile himself. And so it says, so Daniel brought this to the prince of the eunuchs and said that we do not wish to defile ourselves, we do not wish to have the portion of the king's meat or the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he would not defile himself. And then the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who has appointed the meat and drink. And so he's just upset that if this doesn't go well, he goes, you shall make me endanger my head to the king. Meaning, if this trial doesn't go well, I'm in it. So then Daniel says to Melzar, who's just the guy down below, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So in terms of the PICO, we have our population already identified now. We have these four guys. And he says, and he goes, prove to thy servants, I beseech thee 10 days. So now he's set out a timeline. And it says, give them to eat, pulse to eat, and water to drink. So that's our intervention. In terms of that 10-day timeline, though, that's a little short if we're going to answer that carcinogenic question. I think 10 days is just a little short to make any assumptions there. And then it says, and let our countenances be looked upon before thee. So that's our outcome. A little subjective, I admit. I don't quite get what you mean by looking at the countenances. And look at the countenance of the children who eat the portion of the king's meat. So that's the comparative group. So we have our control now. And thou seest, deal with thy servants. So basically it just says you can make policies as you see fit, depending upon the results. And so he consented them to this matter. So he's got institutional approval now. And he proved them for 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in the flesh than all the children which did eat of the portion of the king's meat. So that's his published results. Thus Melzar took away the portion of the meat and wine that they should eat and gave them pulse. Again, prefer the non-proprietary name. But obviously he's now putting this into local guidelines. So we have some knowledge translation going on here. So all in all, I think it's a reasonably good study. Unfortunately, it's an open, non-randomized design, so I think there's a concern about some bias there. With an N of 4, we're probably looking at a little bit underpowered. There's no quality of life, cost, and there was no molecular studies going with that, which is unfortunately. And also, this was never listed under stone tablets, and clinicaltrials.bab did not actually. And Melzar and Daniel, unfortunately, did not report any conflicts of interest. And I'm concerned that maybe this might have been funded by the makers of Pulse. So there's always a concern for bias. Ladies and gentlemen, so in terms of the rebuttal, Dr. Youngbuck, he graduated yesterday from the University of the New Energy Healing Center. He was recently named as Canada's top 40 under 40, and 10 years ago, he was listed as one of Canada's top 30 under 30, and years ago, when he was very young, he was listed as Canada's top 1 under 1. He suffers from acne and texter's thumb, and he doesn't actually have many close colleagues, but he does have over 1,000 Facebook friends. He also amazingly does not have any published papers because he cannot wait long enough for the review process, and he just uploads all of his results to YouTube. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the rebuttal, Dr. Youngbuck.
Hello! We're on! Captain America!
Some things you don't need to see.
There is hope. We reside in an environment that is exciting and fertile. McMaster, the mecca of evidence-based medicine. Hamilton Health Sciences has reinvigorated their strategic plan, and it includes research. The new VP, it's actually not so new, the VP of the JHCC was a trialist. And we have a new VP Research, HHS. I could make more comments, but I think he was sick. I don't know. He had a migraine. I saw him earlier. I don't know if Frank stayed. Oh, yeah, good. We have smart division heads who support research. We have a department of oncology which is quite unique in the university. It's a clinical department, but within the department we have statisticians, methodologists, health services researchers, and a pathologist. We have OCOG. We have a crackerjack clinical trials department in the JCC. We have the new CCC trials network in the country, which should provide some relief to some of the funding issues. We have basic scientists, as you heard this morning at McMaster, who actually want to partner with clinical folk. It's a new era. Advances in technology are astounding, as you heard this morning. There's new knowledge about the molecular biology of cancer, which has opened up many avenues for new diagnostic and therapeutic strategies. We have a fertile and exciting environment for training and mentorship. Ongoing research seminars, fellowship programs, and where else can our trainees have mentorship from leading and experienced researchers with international track records? As far as ECRI goes, tell me, where else will you find such a talented, multidisciplinary group under one roof? And as the mantra that, as Jonathan pointed out this morning, the mantra that guides our research is because every patient matters. Yes, to survive, we will have to adapt. We will have to do simpler trials. We'll have to make the protocols leaner. We'll have to collect less data. And we'll have to simplify follow-up. And Dr. Siminovic actually has the key to the future. We're just having a hard time convincing him to apply the right way. Just think what would happen if a patient with cancer went to see their surgeon, who often is the first contact, and the surgeon said, you know, we're going to take good care of you. Here's the plan for cancer, for your treatment. And you know, research is really important, and trials are really important. And when you go see your oncologist, they're going to talk to you about a clinical trial, and it's good stuff. Just think if they did that, how much our recruitment rates would increase. We will find the dollars. We'll establish new partnerships. We'll have to be more entrepreneurial. We still have our granting agencies. And recently, we were all very busy with the CIHR SPORE and the CIHR Foundation grants. My conclusion. I recognize that healthcare is going through a rough time, but I want to be part of the solution. I can't bury my head in the sand. I want to do the research to find the best way to care for my patients, given the resources that are available. You know, and I gotta be practical. I'm not ready to raise dogs and drive fancy cars, but I don't want to see patients all the time. I'm a young buck. I'm 25 years old. I gotta do some stuff. For all those reasons, I'm going to bite the bullet. Go, trials, go. May the 7th be with you.